thank goodness.
Yeah.
So, we're here. Today is Wednesday the 27th.
I think the 27th.
7. I think I put the wrong date on the thing I just put.
They don't remember that.
It's the way we live right now.
Yeah, not knowing what day it is.
That's right.
True. What day, or day of the week, or day of the month,
I
or
think I lost a whole week or two, didn't we, Susan? We
Yeah.
started.
yeah. I lost more than that.
Yeah.
I gave it to her probably, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's not.
That's a good friend, isn't it?
Yeah. Her husband had it all
He gave it to me. It was rough. It was rough.
It was rough.
I mean, it's different than flu. I didn't have
Yes,
hard symptoms.
it is. So we're here for gentle yoga. Everybody, if anybody's out there, let me know. And speak up. I think I'm all connected. So if you're wanting to sit in a chair, feel free to. If you want to sit up on blankets, if it feels better for your hips, do. And if you're better off to stretch your legs out long, do too. All right, so that you're comfortable in your hips. But close your eyes. Let yourself lengthen up through the top of your head. And just enjoy feeling your breath coming in and going out through your nose. Feeling the breath coming into your belly so that you feel your belly rise and expand. And if you're comfortable to come towards those 3-part breaths, you can inhale into your belly, into your ribs, and then all the way up into your chest. And then let your arms come on out beside you. If you're on the floor, fingertips can lightly touch the ground. Otherwise, just feel like there's a breath of air underneath your arms, really. And on your next inhale, let the arms rise and float all the way up overhead. And on the exhale, let the hands come right down through the midline to be in front of your chest. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline of the body. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down like wings. And now let's inhale the hands forward, right forward of your shoulders, and turn your palms away from each other. So your pinkies face up and your thumbs down. And then bring, it doesn't matter which one hand on top of the other and clasp your hands together. Soften your shoulders down. And then start to lower your hands. Now you can watch your hands as they come down so you release your neck. And some of you may even want to bring the hands up through that hole you've created and then rest your forehead down onto your hands. Right there between your eyebrows would rest on your hands. But you don't have to do that. You can keep the hands down and the arms long. You don't have to turn the hands inside out like that. Just breathe. Let yourself release there through the neck, the upper back. And then we'll send the hands back down and through and forward so they come out from the chest again. And we're going to switch the hand that's on top, the wrist that's on top now. And go ahead and clasp, and again, soften your shoulders down. And then let the hands come on down. Now you can stay right there with the arms long and just release your neck there. Or you can send the hands up and through. And if it feels good to rest, again, the forehead right there between your eyebrows on your hands, do. And just breathe. Release the neck, the upper back. Let your face soften. And then we'll send the hands on back through and forward to the chest again. And now, let your hands come undone. Bring your arms on out beside you. Circle your hands around a little bit one way. And then reverse and go the other. And now let's bring our left arm on top of our right and give ourselves a hug. So you can hug either down kind of low towards your armpits or bring your hands up and over your shoulders. If you want to bring your chin down a little bit and that feels good, do. And then bring your chin on back up. Now, you can either slide to a half eagle wrap, letting the back of your right hand come to the outside of your left elbow there. Or some of you may want to send the backs of your hands towards each other. You don't have to go any further than just a little bit. Or even put your right fingers onto your left palm if that feels good. So you can come into a half eagle wrap, a full eagle wrap. Depends on your shoulders. Be mindful there. Let it be easy feeling in your shoulders. And then we'll unwind. Bring the arms back on down beside us. Inhale the hands again straight out from the shoulders. And circle again with your hands a little bit. Circling one way. And then let them circle the other. And this time we'll bring the right arm on top to give that hug. So let yourself release. And again, if your chin wants to come down because that feels really good to release your neck there, do you? And then again, if you can, rise your head back up. You can stay hugging. Or you might decide to start to just release your hands off your shoulders. Send the backs of the hands towards each other a little bit. You can slide if you want that left hand, back of the hand to the outside of your right elbow. Or you can come into that sense of a little bit more of a wrap if it feels good. Left fingers into the right palm. And then we're going to release and let our arms come on down. And now bring your hands behind you for a second and just clasp your hands back there. Lengthen up through the top of your head. And then release your hands forward. We're going to come on into a little bit of a forward bend. So if you're in your chair, leaning forward a little bit. If you're on the floor, you can put your hands on the floor if you want. Don't have to go that far. You can keep your hands up on your thighs if you want to, right? And then just see about walking over a little bit to your left. So you can have your hand up on your thigh. You can have your hands on the floor. And then we'll come on back through center and we're going to go the other way. Good. And then we'll walk back into center again. And then from here, we're going to rise on back up. And we're going to switch. If you are cross-legged, stretch your legs out for a second. We're going to bring the other leg in front, right? So that you even out your hips just a little bit here now. So take your time, sitting nice and tall, releasing the arms on out beside you again. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And now let's inhale the hands right up through the midline. Now, once you get up there, take your right hand and encircle your left wrist. You're holding on to your left wrist. Pull up just a little bit and see if you can come over to the right side. So you come into a side stretch for that left side of the body. Now, don't pull hard or anything. It's just a gentle pulling upward, finding a little more space between the ribs. Good, and then come on back up to the top. Left hand is going to come around the right wrist this time. Pull up a little bit. And then again, just come over to the side. Breathing into that right side a little bit. Good. And then we'll come on back up to the top. We're going to lower our arms on down beside us. Inhaling here. And on the exhale, twist to your left. Let your right hand come around towards your left knee if you can. Lengthening up through the top of your head. Now, think of your chin being about parallel to the floor, so you're not lifting your chin up. You're finding length in the back of your neck and throat. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll move back through center and come all the way into the other direction. So just swiveling there around. Finding that twist in the middle of your back. Waking up your spine, really. One more inhale. And on the exhale, think of your belly drawing you back around into center here now. Good. Shake out just a little bit. We're going to come around towards our hands and knees from here. So take your time, stretch your legs out a little bit. Now, if you don't want to be on your knees on the floor, use your blanket underneath your knees. Right? So the other thing you can do is have your chair. Those of you at home, if you have a chair, of course here too, but nobody seems to have a chair today. But you can have your chair in front of you and put your hands on the chair so you're not down on your knees. You can use a blanket underneath your knees so you're not on the floor with your knees, or you can come right down onto the floor if that feels fine for you. Now spread your fingers. If your wrists bother you, come onto fists, right? So that you erase that wrist crease And you don't have to worry about feeling undue pressure in your wrists. And then just start to move through your cat-cow, letting yourself easily feel the breath moving you through. So traditionally we exhale when we draw the tailbone down and round up into cat, and inhale when we send the tailbone back and up, moving through into cow. So take your time, and if your breath ends up going the opposite way, it's fine. Just imagine that the breath is what is moving you through the spine, that suppleness of your spine, that kind of snake-like motion. Good. And then finish the one that you're on here. We'll come to a more neutral spine. Now, if your hands are up in the chair, just send your right foot back a little bit. Not a huge lunge, just a little mini lunge. So if you're on the floor, you keep your left knee down and just send your right foot back behind you on the floor. Open up through the back of that right leg. And then we'll bring the right knee back in, and we're going to send the left leg back. Same thing if you're standing, just a little mini lunge there. Open up through the back of the left leg. Really feel your calf particularly. And then we'll come on back. We're going to bring our left foot forward from here and find our first lunge. So the height you are with your hands for your lunge is totally up to you. You can use the seat of your chair. You can use blocks. Remember, these blocks have 3 heights. You've got the lowest, the middle, and the highest. So depending on how you feel today, just make sure that alignment of that left front knee is there so that you're not sending the knee out beyond your toes. The knee is right above your bent, right there above your ankle. And then just enjoy feeling that openness now through the back body. So imagine that you're really long in the back of your body. Good. We're going to switch legs. So how you bring that right foot forward, it's totally up to you. Take your time. Remember, you want to feel like your feet are on very narrow railroad tracks. So you don't want to line that right foot right up directly in front of the left one. Instead, there's like a hip's distance apart between your feet. Good. And we're going to switch again. So take your time, bringing that left foot forward again. Now, you have your hands on something. Either it's the blocks or the chair. If your wrists bother you, you can come to fists there. Or you can come to fingertips too if you want to kind of get out of your hands a little bit. And we're going to switch one more time. So as the right foot comes forward and the left foot comes back, take your time. Let it feel really good. And we're going to step forward and come into standing forward bend here. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Whatever kind of support you need for your back, use it. If you need to use a chair under your hands or forearms, or your hands on blocks, or maybe it feels good to bend your knees a little bit and put your elbows above your knees. You just want to be okay in your back, right? You're not forcing anything. Sometimes a long back is better for people than folding and letting the back round. We're all different, but just be mindful of how you feel. Try to let your face soften. Let go through your jaw. One more breath here. And then we'll bring our hands on up to our hips, bend our knees, rise on up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our chest, in front of our heart. So take time, look at your feet if you need to. Let yourself get your feet pretty parallel, right? You don't want one foot especially to turn out. You want to try to get your feet as parallel as you can. You can always lift your toes up if that helps you to feel those 4 corners of your feet grounding there. And then go ahead, let the toes come on down. Bring your gaze on forward and out like you're looking at the horizon. Hands gently come to meet there. Spread your fingers a little bit so you feel that energetic connection in your hands, really. Feet equal in the floor. See if you can find the sense of your hips coming over your ankles, shoulders over your hips. So in mountain pose, you're very grounded through your feet, but it's like your head is floating up in the clouds. Tailbone reaching down towards between your heels. And we're going to unfold our arms now right down beside us. And inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bend your knees and come forward into that standing forward bend again, wherever you need your hands to be. And on your next inhale, find a nice long back. You can put your hands on your legs. You can put your hands on your blocks or on your chair. And we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge. Coming into our first sun salutation. Inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Now we're all different where we want our hands to be for dog. What height? So they can be on the chair seat, they can be on the blocks. Now you know your blocks have different heights. If it feels better to go higher or lower, do. Remember your blocks can be very tippy. So be mindful. You're trying to reach back through your sit bones here. Lengthen out through your spine. So if your hands are on blocks of the chair, chances are your heels will be on the floor. If your hands are on the floor, your heels are probably hovering up. You're more like an upside down V. And then from here, we'll come out like we're going to do a push-up into a plank. So totally up to you. You can adjust your feet. You know that. If you need to come to your forearms and get out of your hands, you can do that and do a forearm plank. You can put your knees down and do a half plank too, if you'd rather. And then we're going to come on back into down dog. So reaching back again through both sit bones so you feel equal through the sides of your body. And we'll bring our right foot forward from here to find lunge. So whatever you need to do to get there. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend with our feet under us. Again, support how you need. And see if you can go right to your breaths. Following your breaths all the way in and out through your nose. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips and bend our knees. We're going to rise on up and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our chests. We're going to reverse the hands. Inhale them right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms like wings as you fold forward. Bend the knees. It takes it out of your back. And let your next inhale help you, again, find that nice flat back. Whether your hands are on your legs or the chair or the blocks. And we'll step our left foot back and come into lunge now. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Inhale. And exhale into your downward facing dog pose again. So again, where your hands are in down dog, you can adjust. Depends on how your shoulders feel as you hug your elbows in towards each other. And you can walk your dog a little bit, bend one knee at a time. And on the next inhale, we'll come again out towards that plank. So be mindful as you come out to that plank. Take your time. If you need to go to your forearms, do. If you feel like you like to put your knees down and do a half plank. Some of you may want to bend your elbows and do a little push-up. That's up to you. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. And from here, the left foot will come forward to come into lunge. And then we'll come on back into our standing forward bend. Feet right underneath us, hips distance apart and parallel. And again, following your breath. With your awareness, staying with your breath all the way in and all the way out. Just allowing the torso coming forward here to help the backs of the legs to open up. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise on up and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And let's inhale the hands right back up through the midline. On the exhale, open the arms and come on forward. And let your next inhale help you find that flat back again. And this time we're just going to walk into down dog. So you put your hands whatever height you like and walk your feet on back and take your time. Find where you like to be in your dog, where your shoulders feel okay. You know, you can be highest height of the blocks and let yourself just reach out here with the feet on the floor, right? You can walk further back depending on how you feel in your own body here. And we're going to come on out to that plank again. So again, it is up to you. Go to your forearms if you'd like to. Some of you might want to do a back bend. You're more than welcome to come through into a little back bend on your forearm sphinx or come into a cobra or an up dog. You don't need to do one. And then we're going to come on back into downward facing dog pose. And then we'll do that same thing. Next, inhale, come on out towards your plank. Again, it is optional whether you do a back bend or not. You can if you like, you don't need to. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. And then from here, let's bring our left foot forward, a fine lunge again. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend again. And again, use what you need for support. And let yourself come into full deep breaths. Really feel how your ribs expand as you inhale. It's like if you had a rubber band around your rib cage. When you inhale, the ribs expand equally in all directions. And then we'll bring our hands on up to our hips, bend our knees, press into our feet equally, and rise on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. If you need to adjust into your mountain pose, do. If you just feel a little bit off, or you need to look at your feet and make sure you're kind of equal there through your feet, do. Bring your gaze on forward. Spread your fingers nice and wide. So you feel now the connection between your pointer fingers. Kind of press a little more into them. Press the middle fingers a little more together. Your ring fingers and your pinky fingers. And then feel your thumbs connected there. And then just let your elbows soften down. Feel that connection to the hands without really pressing now. And feel your feet in the floor equally. Feel the length in the back of your neck as you feel your chin coming about parallel to the floor. Nice. And then we'll go ahead and let our arms come down, swing them around a little bit, let your arms swing a little bit. You can kind of cross them in front and then reverse the one that's on top so that you kind of just ease your way into letting the arms and shoulders go. Good. And shake it out a little bit. We're going to come into some warriors. So if you're using a chair, you might want to turn it around. And you definitely want to have your blocks handy now. We're kind of warmed up. We're going to step the right foot back and come into warrior two. So your left foot is forward, about parallel to the long edge of your mat. And your right foot is about parallel to the back edge of your mat. Now, how long you make this stance is up to you. When you bend that front knee, you just want to make sure it's not going out beyond your toes. You don't want to put that extreme bend into the knee there. And now focus on your hips. Have your hands on your hips for a second and focus on how your hips feel here. Feel that sense of really feeling the feet pressing a little bit away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat. And then let your hands come down to your thighs. And on the next inhale, float your arms on up and out, straight out from your shoulders, bringing your gaze to look out over the top of your left hand. Again, feeling equal through your feet and the floor, all the way up through your legs into your hips. Nice. And now let your right hand come on back down to your right hip. And we're going to straighten our left leg out and bring our left hand down for triangle. Now it can come onto your chair, it can come to your thigh. You're lengthening your body out over this front leg. So you're on that plane, right? Like you're between two pieces of glass here. And if you want to lift the right arm up, straight up, you can. If that bothers your shoulder, don't do it. Keep the hand down. Let yourself feel your thighs lifting up towards your hips. Good. Now we're going to bend that left knee. We're going to come on back to warrior two, which takes core strength. pressing the feet away from each other to get back up. And now let yourself release down. We're going to find our hands down now to find a lunge. Bring our hands down to find a lunge. So releasing that right heel directly behind you, finding your lunge here. And we're going to add a twist. Left hand to the left hip and rolling that left shoulder up. Now your hand can stay on your low back, letting yourself find that twist in the middle of the back. Try not to drop into that right long leg side. Try to stay fairly level in your hips. You can stretch the arm up if you want. That really depends on you and your shoulder. One more breath. And then go ahead and bring the hands back down. We're going to step forward and get our feet right underneath us. And then we'll bend our knees and rise on up and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And then inhale your hands up through the midline. Now do what we did when we were seated. Take your left hand and encircle your right wrist. Pull up a little bit and then come over to the side, breathing. Good. And then come on back up to the top. Switch hands and then pull up and come over into side. So just releasing into your breath there. And then come on back up to the top again. We're going to lower our arms on down. Bring our hands behind us for a second. Let yourself just release here. Now see, make sure you're not, the tendency sometimes when you bring your hands back like this is to tuck your tailbone forward, which rounds your upper back, right? Puts you into that. So think about your tailbone reaching down towards between your heels and let yourself feel your shoulders coming over your hips. So there's that natural curve in your low back. And come into a couple of three-part breaths. Inhaling into your belly, into your ribs, all the way up into your chest. And then let yourself release your hands. Shake out just a little bit. If you need to walk around, do it. And we're going to come to the other side. So again, if you have your chair at home, you can turn the back of it to face you. Make sure you have your blocks in case you want them. We'll step the left foot back. And again, left foot is about parallel to the back short edge of your mat. And then the right foot is about parallel to the long right edge of your mat there. And then your heels are about in a line too, which really gets your hips to be able to feel a little more open. Hands on the hips for a second. Really focus on your hips. Feel equal between your feet all the way up through your legs into your hips. And then let your hands come down to your thighs. And now inhaling, floating the arms on up as you start to look out over the top of that right hand. Feet gently pressing away from each other, like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet, really. Feel that action into your hips. One more breath. So really intent in this powerful, strong warrior two. And then we'll put our left hand on our left hip. We're going to straighten our right leg out for triangle and bring that right hand down. So again, you can put it as high as the back of a chair. You can put it down on your thigh. You can put it down to a block. You know, if you want to put it all the way down to a block, do. And then start to roll the left shoulder up. If you want to add the top arm up, do. You don't have to. You can keep your left hand right on your hip. You still have 3 points of your triangle. Your 2 feet and your top shoulder or your top hand, right? We're going to bend the right knee and we're going to press the feet away from each other to rise on back to warrior two. And now let your hands come down. We're going to find lunge, remember. So you can bring your hands to whatever height you want to be on the blocks or on your chair, totally up to you. Find your lunge here. We're going to add that twist of right hand to the right hip and rolling that shoulder up. Hand can be right there on your low back. Again, try to stay pretty level in your hips. You can stretch that right arm up if you choose. One more breath. And then we'll bring our right hand on back down. And let's step forward again and get our feet right underneath us. Let your knees bend a little bit. And take your time. If you need to put your elbows above your knees to support your low back, do. But see if you can let your head hang a little bit. Feel the weight of your head and let yourself turn your head a little bit. You can nod it yes, or you can shake your head no a little bit. Just really release there. And then watch the breaths. Once you let your head come back to center, watch your breaths all the way in, all the way out. And then we'll slowly bring the hands to the hips, press into our feet, rise on up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. So take your time here. Let it feel good. And then release. Shake yourself out a little bit. And from here, we're going to turn sideways. So here at the studio, why don't you all turn towards the door you came in and step your feet out a little bit wider than your shoulders and turn your toes out just a little bit for a little bit of a goddess pose. So we'll bend our knees. Here you are in goddess. Let yourself get the sense of your tailbone dropping straight down, all right? Now, if you can go a little bit lower. If you need to separate your feet wider in order to bend your knees more and that feels good to you, you can. You don't have to go any lower. So you can put your hands down on your thighs. You know, if it feels good to lean a tiny little bit forward, do. If not, don't do that. Let yourself stay more upright. And then we'll come on back up. Bring your arms straight out from your shoulders. Straighten your legs out for a second and bend your elbows to 90 degrees. Palms face forward. And then bend your knees again. And there's a full goddess pose. So here you are in goddess. Tailbone drops down. Think about your knees coming out over the center of your feet. Good. And then release your arms down. Come up with your legs longer and turn your toes forward so your feet are more parallel. And some of you, as we come into a wide-legged forward bend, you might want to grab your blocks or you might want to put your hands on the floor. So hands in front of you, keep your back long, and then start to bend a knee at a time. So let yourself, if that bothers a knee or knees, don't do it. So you still are trying to get your feet at least as wide as your shoulders, or a little wider or a lot wider, depending on how it feels to you. So finish off where you're back even now. You have your hands either on blocks or the floor in front of you, and your back is long, all right? And the knees can be bent, that's fine. Just let yourself find that length of your spine, because we're going to add a twist here. Leaving your left hand wherever it is, bring your right hand on up to your right hip, and then roll your right shoulder up, and place your hand on your low back there. So it's the same thing as we did. We're trying to keep our hips level here. The twist is in the middle of your back. Feel the feet equal in the floor if you can. Good. And then we'll bring our right hand on back down, and we're going to bring the left hand up now so we can twist the other way, rolling that left shoulder up, lengthening out through the top of your head. Good. And then let yourself bring that hand back down. And now walk your hands over to the right. Maybe you just want your blocks to shift a little to the right, or maybe you want to walk over towards your foot. That's up to you. And then come on back to center, and we'll go the other way. So again, how far you go is up to you. You can bring your hands all the way over to your foot, or you can just stay out in front of your foot. Good, and then we'll come on back into center again. Let your knees bend. See if you can let your elbows come to be right above your knees to support you. So in this squat, you're really reaching back through your tailbone. You're lengthened out. Good. And some of you may want to stay there, or some of you may actually want to stack your blocks up and get your forearms onto your blocks to give yourself a little break here where you're out of your hands, your arms. Or you can fold forward. If you feel fine to release the top of your head towards the floor, you can do that. Just be mindful. Take your time. Let yourself pay attention to how your own back feels. Let your face soften if you can. Think about relaxing all around your mouth, your eyes, and across your forehead. Imagine if your forehead just smooths out, really. Good. One more breath. And then take your time. We're going to rise up to standing. So to do that, you might want to bring your feet together more. Put your hands on your thighs. Be easy. If it bothers your back, just be really mindful. Walk your feet together. And then walk around a little bit. Move through your feet and your ankles. And we're going to bring, here in the studio, our mats into the wall so that the short edge of your mat gets all the way into a wall here. So at home, if you have a wall, it would be good. Just a little bit of a wall, really. So at first, you can just put your fingertips on a wall. So at home, if you don't have a wall, you can even go to a kitchen counter and put your hand. Let's put our left hand to the wall. All right, so let's all do left hand to the wall. And then bring your right foot up like you're stepping up a step. Right? So already, that's kind of hard. If you think about balancing here and bringing your left hand off the wall, if you can do it, let yourself see if you can balance. You can bring your hands to your heart, or you can just let your arms hang. And then put your hand back on the wall, and we're going to open the right knee out to the right. Now you can hold on to your knee there, or you can slip your hand at the back of your right leg and hold on behind your thigh if you want. And maybe you can let go of the wall there too, right? And maybe you want to balance here, maybe not. And then bring the knee back forward again, and we're going to send the knee right down towards the floor. Keep the right knee bent and draw your right heel in towards your buttocks. Now, that's a quad work right there, quad stretch. If you can reach your foot, you can even pull the foot in closer towards you. You don't have to get a quad stretch though. And if any of you want to send that left arm up in balance here, you can take your hand off the wall and think about coming into a little bit of a balance here. If you have your foot, it's easy to trust me. You can press the foot into your hand. If you don't, you can still balance. It's a lot of work in the core. And then come on down. Take your time. Shake out a little bit. Circle through that foot you were standing on there. And then we're going to come to right hand on the wall, standing on your right foot, and stepping that left foot forward like you're stepping up a step. Again, you can think about balancing a little bit there or not. You can hold on to the wall and not let go. And then bring your hand back to the wall, and again, open that knee out slightly. It's about 45 degrees for most of us to keep our hips still lined up. And again, you can practice a little bit of balance there if you want, or you don't need to. You can keep your hand on the wall. Good, and then we'll bring the knee back forward, and we're going to send it straight down. Flex that foot. Again, you don't have to hold the foot to get a quad stretch there, or to even balance with the right arm up overhead. You can reach back, get hold of the top of the foot if possible. If you pull the heel in, you'll get a quad stretch there. If you push the foot into your hand, you'll feel how your core body engages. Good. Nice. And then let yourself release and come on down. We're going to turn to face the wall. Step your left foot in. Now, if you can curl your toes up the wall, the left toes, so that the ball of the foot is on the floor, and your toes are trying to go up the wall. Now, I can't really do this with one of my feet. If you can do it, fine. If not, just touch the tip of your toes to the wall, like your big toe, your second toe, whatever's longest, right? And then start to keep your right foot on the floor so that you have the heel directly behind your right foot. And start to bend your left knee in to touch the wall, just a little bit. You can make a pillow with your hands and put your head on your hands. Keep the right heel on the ground, and there's a nice stretch for the whole leg there. Intense calf stretch. So if you're not feeling much of anything, you can always step further back. But if you keep your heel on the floor, even if you're in a short stance, zip up your belly, low belly, zipping up, pubic bone to belly button. You're going to get a stretch in that back leg. And also, if your toes are curled up, it's really a good thing to do for your feet. Nice. Everybody in here can do that. One more breath. And then we're going to come up and we're going to switch legs. So, right toes come in. Now, new foot is a different story. So, if the other one was fairly simple, but you have some different feeling in this foot, just do the best you can. And again, as you bend that right knee towards the wall and touch it lightly, zip up your belly. Feel that left heel fully on the floor. Nice. Good. One more breath there. And then it'll feel really good to step back. We're going to come into plank at the wall. So letting your hands be shoulder distance apart, maybe a little bit to the outside of your shoulders. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Look at them on the wall there. And you're like in a plank. Now you can stay right here and engage your core a little bit. Feel pretty good here. You can, if you want, inhale your heels up. And when you exhale, let them come down. Now if your wrists really bother you here, you can come to fists, right? So you can do your plank on your fists right here at the wall, or forearms if necessary, but we are going to do a couple of little push-ups. So if you can, let your elbows bend, come in towards the wall, keeping the body one piece, and then coming back up. Even if you only go a little bit, imagine you're hugging a beach ball together with your elbows. Traditional push-ups, the elbows go out sideways, right? Yoga push-ups, the elbows come inward towards your ribs. Totally different kind of work. There's nothing wrong with either one of them, right? I mean, it's kind of nice. Maybe you can do one of one kind and one of the other. And you can do it on your fists, remember. Good. And then finish off. Let yourself release. Come away from the wall, turn around, and bring your arms up overhead and see if you can hold whatever you can hold up here, right? You can hold your wrists, you can hold your forearms, maybe you can get your elbows, but let yourself just release now through the triceps. Keep your gaze forward if you can so that you're not rounding here into the upper back. Imagine almost that you're breathing in and out through your heart, really. And it doesn't matter whether you hold hands, elbows need to be a little forward, you're just trying to stretch where you can. And now, if you have one arm kind of on top, switch. And it feels really weird, like you're holding somebody else's arm. Try to bring the other one on top. It does feel really funny. And then let yourself come on down. Shake your arms out a little bit. Good. And we're going to come to sit on the floor. So get your straps handy. If you know that sitting up on a blanket is better for you, grab your blanket. And we're going to stretch our right leg out long. Did you get a strap?
Oh, I didn't.
That's all right. I got you one. You okay if I touch you? So I take these home and wash them. So when you leave, just leave everything that you've used, and I take everything home, okay, and wash it. So bring your right leg forward. Everybody do right foot into the strap here. So you're thinking about coming right across the base of your big toe mound and your little toe mound with your strap. And this left leg, man, if it's really iffy for you to bring the foot in even below the knee, try a block. If you feel too much pressure in your knee or your left hip, support yourself. That foot can be lower or high. If you really have to, you can just like let it come more out, right? So as you come forward, you're going to know. So when you think about drawing your heel down and letting your torso come forward on a really long line, if it feels like too much pressure in this left knee, you do what you need to do, right? Or the hip, either one. And then just let yourself think about when you inhale, you're lengthening your spine. And then even if it's only in your imagination, think about when you exhale that you're going to come a little farther forward. So you're keeping your spine long, letting yourself ease your way. Obviously, big stretch in the back of your right leg. But you're also going to feel it in that left hip, right? So just be mindful. Think of, if you need to, when you inhale, come all the way back up to sitting tall. That's fine. And then then when you exhale, come forward maybe a little bit again. So take your time. Just let yourself feel good about opening the back of the leg. Being with your breath. Good. One more breath here. And now we're going to rise on back up, and we're going to use our right hand to open this leg out to the side. Now how far you go, totally up to you. Your right hand is going to take both ends of the strap. Now this, again, puts some stress onto this knee and hip. So again, you may decide, I need support, or if it feels really bad, stretch it out, right? So we're going to come over into side stretch, sliding our right hand down towards that right foot. Maybe not all the way, that depends on you. And then just draw your left shoulder up, and there you are into a side stretch over that right leg. Now you can add more. You can add your arm. You can lift your arm up straight. You can bend the elbow, put the hand behind your head if you want to. Or you can stretch the arm long, even thinking about coming over more towards that leg. Those are all options, right? So don't push it. Enjoy breathing into that left side of the body. Good, and then we're going to slowly come all the way back up. You can let go of the strap for a second and think about leaning a little bit forward, which brings you into the inner thigh of that right long leg. So take your time, let yourself breathe here. Good, and then come on back up. Once we're up at the top, we're going to take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to twist towards this bent leg. Your right hand can come maybe to your shin. Maybe you want to reach it over to your thigh. That depends on you. Your left hand is back behind you, fingertips lightly touching the floor. Really enjoy inhaling into the length of the spine. One more breath. And then ease your way back around into center and take your strap on off because we're going to switch to the other side. So at first, the left foot comes directly forward of you. So first is the strict forward bend. So it's directly forward of your hip. And again, now this is a different knee here, so if it's iffy, grab that block if you need for support, especially again, as you start to think of coming forward. If you feel any kind of tweakiness in this knee or this hip, you can give support there, right? So the inhale lengthens your spine, and the exhale, again, you just draw yourself forward with that nice long back. And you can progressively move farther and farther forward with your breath, or you can come back into that length as you sit up tall on the inhale, and then come forward again a little bit on the exhale. So we're all built differently. You know, if forward bends feel very like a relief to you, coming forward with that long back, you can work your way gently more and more forward, letting your breath help you. Feel that left heel drawing down to the floor and back towards you a little bit, pressing that ball of the foot into your strap. Good, so one more breath here. And then again, slowly let yourself make your way back up. And we're going to open that left leg out to the side, more to the left here. And again, adjust, right? So this knee here and this hip, you've got to be where you're okay to be. Send your left hand down towards your foot a little more if you can. So you're holding both ends of the strap, and let your right hand just come to your right hip. So there's a side stretch out over this leg, right? Whether you want to add anything, arm up, or bend the elbow, put your hand behind your head, or stretch your arm out long. All of those are options of what feels good to you for that side stretch. For your shoulder, for your hips, right? So just be mindful. Take your time. Let it feel good. Good. And now as you come up, let your belly kind of help you to come on back up. You can let go of your strap. And again, we're going to come a little bit forward. So if you feel too much pressure in this right side anywhere, put a block underneath your knee if you need to, or stretch your leg out if you need to do that. Coming forward with that long back. Good. So let your left knee and toe face up towards the ceiling. So you're really getting into the inner thigh more on that left leg here. And of course the hamstring too. And more breath here. And then as you make your way up, remember we're going to twist. So once you get up tall, take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, twist to your right. Right hand comes behind you. Again, where you put that left hand, totally up to you. Let yourself feel lengthened up. Feel that left heel on the ground. Good. So one more breath here. And then use your belly to bring you on back around into center. And let's bring ourselves on back forward with our legs for a second. And we're done with the strap, so you can put it on out of your way. Bring your legs forward, move through your feet and your ankles a little bit. And then just think about coming into a classic seated forward bend. So your legs are in front of you, your heels are drawing down. Now if you really want to use your strap again, you can bring your strap on your feet like that to draw yourself forward, like we did before with one leg, right? Or you can, if you had enough of that, you can just let yourself ease your way forward. Now, if you need to bend your knees a little bit, bend your knees a little bit. That's fine. You can even slip, well, I'm going to use blocks, but you can slip blocks or a rolled up blanket underneath your knees, which often makes it, if you're tight in your hamstrings and your low back, makes it a little bit easier to come forward. So, and eventually it will really help to let that forward from the low back feeling come into you. So, just release. One more breath here. Good. And then we'll rise on back up. And we're going to come down onto our backs on the floor. So you might need to move everything around and get yourself down onto your back. Bring your knees on into your chest. Once you get there, let the knees come a little bit side to side. And it depends on you how far you go with this. You can let your knees kind of stay away from you with your hands holding your knees and your arms straighter. Or you can draw the knees in closer to you and roll, right? Whatever feels like the most release for your hips and your back. Good, and then bring your feet on down to the floor now. And let yourself, we're going to do a couple little pelvic tilts. Get your feet about parallel, a little wider than they are in your mountain pose. But you're still trying to have your toes face forward, right? And then as you exhale, feel the tailbone curl up, feel your low back releasing down to the floor. And when you inhale, go ahead and let the tailbone release back to reach towards the floor, and the natural curve comes back in your low back. So exhaling as you curl the tailbone up, and then inhaling as it releases back to neutral spine there. And then take your time, let it feel good. And coming into rolling bridges is not for everybody. If it feels really good to you, to think about starting with that pelvic tilt where you curl your tailbone up, your low back's in the floor, and then you think about continuing to like lift one vertebra at a time off the mat where you roll up. Now, not everybody's spine likes this, so don't do it if it doesn't feel good. And then when you roll back down, you really got to use your belly if you're doing these rolls, because you're trying to do, again, like your spine is a string of pearls, and you're letting one pearl at a time both come off the floor and go back down, which requires quite a bit of work in the belly. Now, if you don't like these and you'd rather do a normal bridge pose, do it. Let yourself just release, press into the backs of your arms and rise up into your bridge. Use a block if you'd like to do supported bridge. Put it underneath you and rest on it. So you get to choose whether moving through the spine here and trying to sequentially roll up and down feels good to you or not. And if not, go up there, stay, use a block if you'd rather rest and support. Once you're ready to come down out of bridge, bring your knees on into your chest. Take your time. For a second there, see if you can just stretch your legs up and reach your feet towards the ceiling like you're putting footprints on the ceiling. And then let your legs come back and forth a little bit like you're cross-country skiing up there. Doesn't have to be very far. You know, it can be just a few inches. You can go more if you want. You can let one leg lower down towards the ground if you want to use your belly a little bit and keep your pelvis really, really just the way it is so it doesn't flop up and down. Your low back doesn't come on and off the floor, but instead you just stay really solid there using your belly. Good. And then bring both feet back up, bend your knees again back in towards your chest, and separate your knees and let the soles of the feet come towards each other. Now you can bring your hands to rest on your shins or your ankles. If that feels good, you've got your arms to the inside of your legs there. Or if that doesn't feel good, you know, another way to do Baddha Konasana is to put your feet on the floor and then open your knees to the side and let the soles of the feet come towards each other. So those are two totally different feelings. You can explore both of them and decide which one feels good to you. Each one good for the pelvic floor, inner thighs, releasing the hips, the low back. Now, just let your body do exactly what it wants to do right now. Before we get ready to come into Shavasana, our final relaxation pose, if there's something that sounds good to you, let yourself do it. And that could be anything, or it can be nothing, right? Because you know, for Shavasana, you want to be comfortable, so sometimes you just got to let the body get its wiggles out, really. You know, sometimes there's just something you feel like you really want to do before you can relax. And I'm going to start to walk around here at the studio. If you're home and you know you would like to have some support for yourself, you can use bolsters if you have one for under your knees, or you can have a blanket rolled up for under your knees or a pillow. I'm going to look for hands waving. I thought maybe this is going to be. And let me know. You're welcome. If you're chilly, here at the studio, I can bring you a blanket to cover. It is cold today. The floor is cold. So if you like cover, or if you like the bolster, wave at me. Can you take this off here? So blankets, wave at me if you think it'd be good to cover your legs or just your feet. Good. Let your shoulders release. If you're feeling kind of tense in your shoulders or your hips, sometimes it helps just to have your arms, your legs a little bit different place. Arms a little farther away from you maybe, palms turning up, or same thing with the legs. Just let yourself enjoy releasing here now down into the floor. Letting that firmness of the floor allow you to release a little more easily, right? There's that contrast of your muscles starting to let go and relax, and that firmness of the ground supporting you. As you watch your breath coming in and going out through your nose. Enjoying that wave of your breath. So not controlling. It's really allowing yourself to keep coming back to the breath in and out. Giving your body and your brain time to benefit from all we just did. Simply by letting yourself completely and fully relax. And those deeper breaths really refreshing you, bringing you back into wanting to physically move again. And let your fingers, your toes, your hands, and your feet start to lead you so that your extremities start to move, and then you just move on up into your arms, your legs when you're ready. If you need to stretch, let yourself stretch. If you need to draw your knees in towards your chest, just take your time. Be really mindful. You can stay on your back. You're welcome to roll onto either your right or your left side if you're comfortable to do that. You can have your knees be soft and come into a easy fetal position on your side if that helps you make an adjustment there. And just take your time so that when you do feel ready to rise up, it feels right to start to sit comfortably and lengthen up again so that you have your head up there above your heart. Letting yourself sit up nice and tall, releasing your hands to a very comfortable place for your shoulders. And let your eyes be lightly closed so that you can stay with your breath. You can keep your focus internal a little bit longer. Following your breath in and out. And on your next exhale, let your hands come gently to meet there in front of your chest, in front of your heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.